Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I just got back in the States a couple days ago and I had an amazing adventure. It all started just a couple months ago when I learned a friend of mine was starting up his own tourist company. Called him up, asked if he was willing to take me overseas. Lucky enough, he agreed. And sooner or later, we were right on our way. But I was not the only one that was interested. Two others ended up calling him up and asked if they could come along as well. Welcome to my second grand international adventure. Alright guys, how's it going? My name is Dustin McMullen. Joining me here is Jennifer Riddle. And we have just landed for our next adventure. And where the heck did he go? Oh, he's right there. And the man, the myth, the legend, Gabriel Harris. How's it going, buddy?
How you doing?
Hey, we're
nice
so,
to see ya.
so excited to be here.
I'm sure you are.
All right, thank you guys for joining us and welcome to Southern Africa.
Everything has fallen to pieces. Earth is dying. Help me, Jesus. We need guidance. We've been misled. Young and hostile, but not stupid. Corporate leaders, politicians, kids can't vote. Adults elect them.
Hey guys, so we are here in Makonda, South Africa, and we are just about to go in to the National Research Foundation, as well as the South African Institute for Aquatic Diversity. We are meeting with two doctors in here that is going to take us a little tour around to show us what they got, and I'm just really excited to see what they have to handle. Let's get to it. All right, hey guys, so we are inside right now, and we had a good tour through the whole place. I learned a lot of stuff. I just kind of wanted to go through a little gist of everything we just saw. So this place started with one single species of fish, and it's called the coelacanth. Now, the coelacanth it was around when the dinosaurs were around, and scientists thought and believed that it went extinct along with the dinosaurs. But then in the late 1930s, one was spotted right off the coast of Africa, and it was just this huge deal because they thought that, this fish had been extinct for millions and millions of years. And it was first discovered and studied by a guy named J.L.B. Smith, or Dr. Smith. And when they came around, after they spotted the first one, they didn't really have the means of being able to preserve the fish, the chemicals and stuff like that. But then a second coelacanth was discovered, and they actually have the preserved body of it, and it's right here. So this is what a coelacanth fish looks like. It is quite exceptional. It is crazy. Ever since then, there have been research and divers that go down, and they found a whole bunch of coelacanth fish. Well, when I say a whole bunch, I mean more than one or two, but there's still not a plethora of them. Most of the sightings have been on the eastern side of Africa, kind of on the West Indian Ocean, and some have even been found a little bit in the Indonesian era, but still the Indian Ocean is the only place that they've been found. Now, these fish, they live very, very deep. And when I say that, I mean, we're talking about like 300 meters down in the ocean, which is one of the reasons why it's so hard to find them. And you can see there's a little diagram here, kind of to put in perspectives. There's divers there about 100 meters, 120 meters down there. You can see divers down over there. Now, South Africa, they are able to make a submersible that's tethered, that's kind of small, and it can fit in the crevices of rocks in some of these canyons that they find underwater. And you can see it, it's, you know, a little diagram of it right there, which is really cool, but it can only go down about 150 meters or so. Now, Germany, they created a submersible. It's called Yago, and it's untethered, and it can go down all the way to the bottom, about 300 meters. And that's what you can see right here. Yago can get a little bit further down, or well, okay, a lot further down, like twice as far. But it's so big that it can't go into the small crevices of the rock, which is where a lot of the coelacanths can be found. So it is just super cool, very, very interesting fish. Oldest fish on record to still be alive. It's really interesting. Japan has actually, in the past, have tried to get these coelacanths in aquariums, you know, on display so that people can actually see what they look like alive. But they live so far down that they need a lot of pressure to be able to survive. And trying to keep a tank that pressurized is extremely difficult, and so far they haven't been too successful with it. In Japan, as far as I know so far, it's the only nation or the only people who's actually attempted to do it and failed every time. But we'll see. Thanks for joining. All right, guys, here we are just down the road from the Institute for Biodiversity. We are up on the hill in a greenhouse, as you can see behind me, with a bunch of biocontrolled containers here. Now, all of these containers contain a different type of invasive species, some of the most invasive species in the entire world. And what they're doing here is they are growing these invasive species and then inserting particular insects or specific species of insects that eat only that type of invasive species. Once they get these insects and they get enough of them, they'll actually collect these insects and then ship them off to where the certain invasive species is a huge problem. And so what they do is when they introduce those specific insects, those insects will eat away at that invasive species and eventually clearing out that population to help with the environment. The really cool thing is these insects that they are researching and only eat that specific type of plant species. So once those insects go through and eat all of the plants, they will not go and eat any other plants that are next to them, and they will eventually then die off because there's no more food left for them to eat. So it's very effective, and there's essentially absolutely no pollution with getting rid of those species. So there's no like harsh chemicals that's gonna spread into the environment, into the water. It's not gonna, you know, go downstream or affect any other type of plant species. So it's really, really neat. Coolest thing about it is it's all government funded, and they will ship out these insects absolutely for free. So if there's any farmers that's having trouble with a certain invasive species that's kind of taken over their land, they will go ahead and contact this facility right here. They'll definitely prove, send in pictures and stuff to make sure that it is the correct species that they're having problems with. And these guys will just send over a couple of these insects, a lot of these insects or agents, and they'll be able to get rid of their invasive species just like that. Super, super cool. After learning about South Africa's conservation efforts through biocontrol and research, we decided to end the day and get some rest. The next morning, we were up bright and early and well on our way to Port Elizabeth, where we were learning all about South Africa's conservation of coastal birds. As we arrived, it was feeding time for their colony of African penguins. This species of penguin is only found in the southwestern coast of Africa, living in colonies of 24 islands between Namibia and Algoa Bay, near Port Elizabeth. It is the only penguin species that breeds in Africa, and its presence gave name to the Penguin Islands. In 2013, the African penguin was listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. Many organizations, such as SANCOB, are working to halt the decline of the African penguin. SANCOB, which was established in 1968, is currently the only organization mandated by the South African government to respond to crises involving seabirds along the South Africa's coastline. After learning about this amazing organization, it was time for us to do our part and jump in and start helping out cleaning one of their pools. Once the pool was sparkling clean, we were given the opportunity to accompany SANCOB's veterinarian as she was getting ready to release one of their gray herons back into the wild. The container that SANCOB transports their birds in has small circular openings on every side so that there is enough ventilation to keep the inside cool. While this is very important to have, it does end up giving any animal inside something to grab a hold of. And if the animal isn't used to being out in the wild, it may be hesitant to leave right away. But once the bird is out, he immediately starts to take in his surroundings, evaluating as much as he can so that he may get a good idea of where he is and where he would like to go. Not too long after release, he finds himself in the nearest body of water, where he starts to spread out his wings in order to feel the refreshing breeze. A few minutes later, we observed the gray heron start to flap both of its wings as we get excited to witness his first ever flight in his new world. But he decides to hold off for now. At this point, the veterinarian decides it's better to give him some space from all of us. And so, we bid SANCOB farewell. Welcome to Port Elizabeth, South Africa. We are about to get on a charter boat, complement of Shaggy Charters. They are a company that the owner actually started the Penguin Research Conservation Fund. So they are taking us out to sea, to the ocean, to see if we can find some humpback whales, some southern right whales, a couple species of dolphin, and things like that. Very rarely they'll see orcas. That would be insane if we saw some orca whales. But let's go ahead and check it out.
Today we live, today we breathe, today we know that we are strong when we are weak. Today we trust, we overcome, take every chain that kept us slaves and throw them off. We're not waiting for permission, we defy our inhibition, like our middle name is fearless, unafraid. If we're gonna fly, we fly like eagles, arms out wide. If we're gonna fear, we fear no evil. We will rise, by your power we will go, by your spirit we are bold. If we're gonna stand, we stand as giants. If we're gonna walk, we walk as lions. We walk as lions. Today is ours. It's always been. Before we face the fight, we know who's gonna win. We live by faith and not by sight. We don't want safe and quiet. We don't want to run and hide. This is not an intermission. It's our time, not gonna miss it. You've already called us fearless, unafraid. If we're gonna fly, we fly like eagles, arms out wide. If we're gonna fear, we fear no evil.
Hey guys, so here we are at a Shibuya Game Reserve, and we are joined here by our safari guide Chris Ubbins, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. Chris?
Yeah, well, firstly, welcome, or Chris Shibuya.
Thank you.
We got a lovely day planned for you. We're going to start off with a boat cruise at the Kurika estuary. Beautiful estuary, we focus on the birds, a bit of the nature, talk a little bit about the history, a little bit about the river itself, then slowly cruise up to the reserve. Once we get up to the reserve, we're going to jump on a vehicle, go for a game drive, hopefully get to find some of the members of the Big Five. Do you know all the members of the Big Five?
I think I can name a few of them.
Oh, I hope so. There's only 5 of them.
Yeah.
Well, and obviously it's not only 5 animals on there. We've got all the different antelopes that we'll be looking at, giraffes, zebras, and all the other fun things out there. Covering a bit on the trees, a bit on the birds, a bit on the flowers.
Okay.
My passion is definitely the birds. So if you don't like them, I apologize.
All right, no problem. Hey, I love birds just as much as everybody else does. They're really cool.
Well, then after the game drive, we're going to sit down and have a lovely lunch.
All right.
And after lunch, a nice little cruise back down the river, and we'll be back where we started.
Oh, it sounds perfect. I'm excited for this day.
It's going to be good fun. What a beautiful day. Weather's perfect. You guys seem keen.
It's
I'm
amazing.
Ready.
All right, let's get to
Let's
it.
do it.
To start off the tour, we had to make our way down to the boat. Once we got on, our guide didn't waste any time telling us about the local fauna and the river's ecosystem. He even packed us a cooler full of drinks to make sure we had a good time.
As we were making our way down the river, we came across 2 spiral-horned middle-sized antelopes, known as Nyala. Now we can tell that these 2 are male because the female Nyalas do not have any horns. One of the coolest things about Nyala antelopes is that they have hairy glands on their feet, which leaves their scent wherever they walk. Currently, their population is stable and is listed as least concerned on the IUCN Red List. Once we passed the Nyala, we came across a woman painted on the outcrop of hard rock. It is said that travelers will blow a kiss to the woman in hope of good luck. And luck was exactly what we had, because once we got off the river and onto land, we almost immediately came up on a couple of rhinoceroses. In Africa, there are only 2 species of rhinos that are found, the white rhino and the black rhino. Even though both of the species have gray skin, we can tell that these 3 are white rhinos because of how they eat. White rhinos are grazers, which means they feed off of the grass and have very wide lips to be able to do so. While black rhinos are browsers, meaning that they eat mostly leaves off of bushes and have a prehensile upper lip. On the left, we observe a male attempting to protect his female from the rhino on the right. It's possible that these 2 are a breeding pair, and the male doesn't want anyone else near his female during this time. Breeding pairs tend to stay together between 5 and 20 days before going their separate ways. The gestation period of a white rhino is around 16 months, and give birth to 1 calf at a time. Once the calf is born, it can weigh anywhere between 90 and 150 pounds. White rhinos are classified as near threatened on the IUCN Red List. Poachers are one of the biggest reasons for the loss of rhino populations over the years, but many game reserves have been creating anti-poaching teams to help limit the amount of rhinos killed each year. Almost all of rhino poaching is being driven by the common misconception that rhinoceros horn in powdered form is used as an aphrodisiac, or a cure for cancer in traditional Chinese medicine, despite the fact that rhino horn is made mostly of keratin, which is the same substance that is found in hair and in fingernails. After watching these rhinos for a little bit longer, we decide to sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our game drive.
The shotgun's loaded. Push me and I'll push back. I'm done asking ID. Man from a nation under God. I feel its love like a cattle prod. I'm born free, but still they hate. I'm born mean, no, I can't change. It's always darkest just before the dawn. So stay awake with me. Let's prove them wrong.
time in South Africa, our hosts at Intaka Lodge had a big dinner and invited many local safari guides and animal conservationists, as well as a member of the Saboya anti-poaching unit. Talking with this guy really opened up my eyes to the troubles that anti-poaching face each and every day. In the country of South Africa, anti-poachers are not legally allowed to shoot unless a poacher shoots at them first, regardless if they shoot an animal. Even if anti-poaching ranger witnesses a poacher shoot and kill an animal, they are not allowed to shoot at them, not even a warning shot. All they are allowed to do is try to catch them using non-lethal force. Unfortunately, poachers know that if they get caught, they will go straight to jail, and they will do anything that they can to make sure that that doesn't happen. This results in many anti-poaching rangers being killed by poachers every single year. When asked what is the one thing that anti-poacher units could use to help with the most, equipment was their answer. Over the years, poachers have been getting more and more advanced hunting equipment, and it's been difficult for anti-poaching units to keep up with them. Despite these difficulties, anti-poaching units have still been successful in capturing many poachers throughout the years, and hopefully, poachers will start to feel that their procession is not worth it anymore. Thank you guys for joining me on this great adventure in South Africa. Next episode, I travel through Zimbabwe and into Botswana. See you later.